Hey y'all, hi. Okay, I'm 40. Why do I look so young? First of all, I don't. You're looking at me on a flat screen, and everything about my face, the skin texture, the contours, everything is smoothed and flattened in translation. We never use filters of any kind on my YouTube footage, but you should see the setup here. There are huge lights, like literally within an arm's reach. Like I'm touching them right now. Do you hear this? That's me touching the lights. They're right there. In the interest of getting a bright, sharp picture for YouTube, color accuracy for when I'm reviewing products, even and consistent exposure, I am extremely well lit here in the studio, and that diffused, enveloping lighting downplays shadows and in some cases removes shadows, which means that the creases and crevices of my 40-year-old face are less apparent, and fine lines, of which there are many, are almost impossible to see, especially at this distance. But they are here, and if you were to see me in person, in other lighting conditions, from other angles, I would look a lot more real. Not that I look as unreal as a lot of people that you see on YouTube. I don't actually think I look that young, but I'm making this video in response to the floods of comments that I get about it whenever I mention my age. And it's also not to say that people don't express surprise at my age in person and like ask about my skincare in person. They do sometimes, and I'll get to that in a second. This isn't the only answer in this video, but for the sake not only of your experience when you watch my content, but when you consume any social media content ever with someone's face in it, you have to know that lighting a person for camera smooths lines and texture. This is relevant to wrinkles and also acne scarring and blemishes. A well-lit content creator, a professionally lit content creator, has a very flattered face. And again, this is even without the use of filters, which we don't use, but a lot of people do use. Second of all, here on screen, I am constantly in motion. I have my chin lifted because I'm talking to you, and that kind of smooths out my jawline and my neck. My eyes are bright. I'm animated. I'm really giving myself to you. I'm bringing a force of presence to the screen because that is my job. It's one of the things that I love about this work. I enjoy doing that. I enjoy kind of clicking into this mode. But I wonder if we perceive animation and energy as connected to vitality and therefore end up conflating it with youth, which I'm somewhat torn about, to be frank, because I've known so many vitally energetic people in their 40s, 50s, and beyond who totally belie that cultural perception. But I do think that the way that I move when I talk might be one of the most significant reasons why I get these comments all the time expressing surprise at my advanced age. I think that if I were to sit still, more still than I do, and allow my face to really fall and speak from there, just speak from a more stagnant place energetically, I think if I did that, then the impression that I am giving would align better with a lot of people's expectations about how a 40-year-old should appear, and then I would get fewer of those comments. If you were to see me like in the grocery store, for example, down the aisle from the side, slumped over at the end of a long day reading the ingredients on a can of beans, underneath the fluorescent lighting, physically unaware that I was being watched, if you were to see me like that, you might see someone who you perceive as being closer to my actual age. It's just that you never see me like that because I'm not making videos about grocery shopping at the end of a long day. You always see me in motion, and you always see me in a state of forward-facing performative energy. Third, and this is kind of related to number two, I'm not just in motion, I'm also attempting and hopefully succeeding at keeping the conversation lively. I am fascinated by, and even though I'm not a true denizen of the internet, I think you could say I'm very sensitive to the weird way that the English language evolves through the lightning-fast, supercharged networks of social media. Some studies have come out in recent years. Have any of you seen this? Showing that for centuries, teenage girls have led linguistic change. For centuries, teenage girls have led linguistic change. I'll link some of the resources down below. It's so amazing. I also observe that the English language is currently experiencing a surge in linguistic change that traces back to queer communities, the root source of which is specifically the language of the Black queer ballroom scene. So terms that were innovated there decades ago are exploding into the mainstream and into the zeitgeist, likely facilitated by, as studies are showing, their absorption into the mouths of teenage girls. As soon as contemporary media brought the pure world-transforming, magical language of ballroom into the ears of teenage girls, boom, suddenly it's everywhere. I'm not a linguist. This is just what I think is happening. This is just what I think about when I'm lying awake at night. And this is just to say, language is wildly alive right now. And I have not shut the doors of my own vocabulary. I plan never to shut them. Just as I learn new vocabulary words from novels that I'm reading, new old words, and then I look them up, learn the definition, and then try them out in my own speech and see if I can incorporate them into my actual vocabulary. Just as I do that with existing old words, I also make space for new words and new applications of words that are being innovated in real time. They don't all suit me, but some do, and then I use them, and I can only assume that that contributes to some of the confusion about my age. But again, here, I feel it's not really something I'm doing that's different. It's a matter of perception. Me acting the way that I do and even dressing the way that I do, and then people thinking that I'm younger than I am. It's not me tricking them or like hanging on to youth or something. I wonder if it is perhaps a kind of ageism that I don't blame someone for, because it's woven into the fabric of our culture, but I wonder if it's a kind of ageism. The surprise comes essentially from a belief that 40-year-old women aren't spry, aren't animated, don't use updated language, don't dress with an edge. They're wrong. But I truly believe that these first three elements, lighting, animation, and language, are the most significant answers to the question, why do I look so young? And to me, they all amount to the same thing, which is, I don't really look so young. I'm just lit in a way and behaving in a way that for some reason, some people don't expect from someone my age. And you could possibly add dressed in a way or styled in a way that people don't expect. I'm not actually going to get into that today. I feel like it's its whole own can of worms. I do think that styling can really affect some people's impression of your age. And maybe now that this video is up, I'll consider making a separate video about the nitty-gritty of that question. I'm not sure that it's doing as much of the heavy lifting as these other factors are. So what else? I wanted to first establish this information about lighting and behaviors because, they're not products, they're not procedures, they're not supplements or devices or diets. There are a few other slightly more concrete things that I think might be contributing. I'll get to them at the end. But first, let's get another one out of the way. Another one that you can't buy and you can't control, and that's genetics. Some people look younger than their age, and some people look older than their age, and some people have a mixed bag. There are some things about me that add to the impression of age. For example, sagging jowls, which run in my family, they're genetic. And there are some things about me that add to the impression of youth. For example, I don't have dark circles under my eyes, and that's genetic. It's just genetics. Your face is your face. I have the face that I inherited from my family. And again, I think the most powerful thing that I do to my face here on this platform that seems to be adding to the impression of youth. It's not a procedure. It's not a product. It's not lifestyle choices. I light my face. I move my face. I speak from my face. Now, beyond that, I have two actionable and more pedestrian answers. And one of those is skincare. As I've said many times recently, it's not really about the products that you use. It's about the time that you take. I never, ever skip washing my face, even if I wasn't wearing any makeup that day or any sunscreen, even if I was wearing nothing. I never skip at least gently washing my face. And I never, ever, like literally, I have never, since I was a child, done this. I never go to sleep without layers of moisturizer, layers of some kind of moisturizing skincare at the very least. I mask whenever I can, just, basic, sometimes something a little acidic, but mostly just a basic moisturizing mask. I'll link a few basic and hopefully affordable skincare products down below in case you happened to come to this video with no skincare and you just don't know where to start. Check the description box for that. But products don't help if you don't use them. And what I do is use them morning and night, no matter what. And I do think that this consistent use of skincare is possibly why some people in person will express surprise at my age or ask me about my skincare routine, which is something that I get sometimes. I have never had any injectables or even any intense laser facials. I am about to tiptoe into the dubious waters of cosmetic dermatology, not necessarily to hang on to youth. I'm more interested in skin texture and scarring. It's hard to see because of the lighting, but I have a lot of old acne scars on the sides of my face. So I will keep you updated on all of that. Laser facials, maybe a little bit of injectables, we'll see. And until now, I haven't done any of that. Lastly, as some of you know, I have been a tango dancer since my early 20s. This might seem unrelated, but I actually think it's very related. Dancing keeps the brain young. I read this amazing book called The Brain That Changes Itself. I'll link that down below too. It was a while ago. It's a book about neuroplasticity. But what I remember is that nothing activates the plasticity of the brain better than dance because you're constantly learning new patterns. Dance literally develops new neural connections in the areas of the brain involved with executive function, spatial awareness, memory. Dance is wildly powerful in the way that it acts on the body, actually, the brain being part of the body. And tango, as a social dance, also floods the body with oxytocin and serotonin. All of that, it shows on the face. I didn't dance as much in my 30s, but in my 20s, I danced for like 8 to 10 years, almost every day, solid for those years, and most of those days for hours a day. That's a lot of tango hours that I've logged into my body in my lifetime. I have a theory that you can still see that on my face. And the theory is actually not based on me. I had this theory before I got to this advanced age and was reporting back. It's based on the tango dancers who are older than I am now that I've known over the course of the past few decades of my life. All of the lifelong tango dancers that I know who are over the age of 50 look at least a decade younger than they are. It's community, it's getting out of the house, away from the screen, it's moving the body, it's being in the physical embrace of others for hours at a time. Social dance could be more powerful than anything that I've shared in this video today. Could even be more powerful than genetics in a way. So I couldn't let the video end without sharing that. I hope I will be so lucky as to age until I look undeniably old to everyone. I look forward to it with curiosity and some amount of anticipation, I have to say. As the door of perceived youth closes, I believe other doors will open. And frankly, the most truly lovely people I can think of are old. But for the time being, I hope that you can go forth from this video remembering that when you are in motion, when you are talking and expressing and giving of yourself, which is what you're mostly doing, what you're doing all day long when you interact with people, when you're doing that, nobody can really see your age or whatever it is you worry about your face or yourself, whatever it is about you that makes you insecure. When you're alive, like when you're in motion, when you're living, the people who matter, they just see you. And this is one of the things that I've learned from my work in social media that I didn't know before. So I'm really glad to be able to say it out loud to all of you. It's like living, inhabiting your own face and inhabiting your own body is like a portable filter that you just carry around with you. You might not see it. You might not see through that filter when you're just standing still and letting your face fall and looking at yourself in the mirror. But other people see through the filter of your vibrance when they look at you. Thanks for being here today, y'all. I really appreciate you. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.